Ever get that feeling? Cracking open a fresh magazine, that smell of ink and paper, and just diving into a whole new world.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a portal, isn't it?
That's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Diving into some vintage Twilight Zone magazine. We're talking the 70s, 80s, 90s, full of the unexplained, the strange, the downright bizarre.
A peek into the past and what captured people's imaginations back then.
Exactly. And the best part, all these stories, these mysteries, they come straight from you, our listeners.
Yeah.
A whole stack of excerpts just begging for a deep dive.
A cabinet of curiosities just waiting to be unlocked.
You got it. So should we get this cabinet creaking open? Where do we even start with this stack?
Well, chronologically, we've got 1974 calling first.
74. The Isle of Man. Now this one, it's a classic. Jeff, the Talking Mongoose.
Oh, Jeff. A legend in its own right.
Right. I bet some of our listeners are thinking, hold on, a talking what? Give us the lowdown. Who or what was Jeff?
Picture this. A family living their lives, and suddenly there's this creature taking up residence in their walls, claiming to be, well, a talking mongoose.
Hiding in the walls. I'd be a little freaked out, to be honest.
To add to the strangeness, this mongoose, he didn't just talk. He left gifts.
Gifts. Okay, now I'm intrigued. We talking shiny trinkets, little snacks. What does a talking mongoose gift you?
Let's just say the family wasn't too thrilled with the offerings, mostly strangled rabbits.
Strangled rabbits, that's a choice. So how do we separate fact from fiction here? Anyone actually see this talking rabbit gifting mongoose?
Multiple investigators were called in. Some pretty big names, actually. They found paw prints, unlike any known animal.
No way. So not just tall tales, but actual evidence.
Oh, there's more. The family swore Jeff would answer to his name, even hold conversations. There was a BBC producer who got caught up in it all, claimed it was real, ended up in some hot water over it.
Wow. Okay, so somebody's pulling off an elaborate hoax, or there's something more to animal communication than we thought. It really makes you think.
Right. Imagine a world where animals are more complex than we give them credit for. It challenges everything we think we know.
It definitely gives a whole new meaning to curiosity killed the cat, huh? Speaking of curious creatures, let's hop over to 1993. Turkey. Get ready for the giant white mice.
Not your average house pests, these ones.
You think? These things were described as being the size of small dogs. Webbed feet, attacking cats and dogs. What in the world was going on there?
Gigantism, while rare, can happen. Isolated populations, unusual environments, things like that, can lead to some pretty strange growth in animals.
So maybe a few big rats blown out of proportion. Legend taking over like a game of telephone.
It's possible. Or maybe a case of mistaken identity, size getting exaggerated with every retelling. Who knows? But it makes you wonder how much of what we believe is shaped by how a story is told.
True. Always more to it than meets the eye. And speaking of things we can't quite explain, let's dive into some deep waters, literally.
This is the 1994 sea monster sighting, right? 2 university students claiming they saw a catty.
The one and only Cadborosaurus. Classic sea serpent, spotted off the coast of Canada. It's like every sea monster legend rolled into one.
It's interesting how these creatures, they embed themselves in the local culture, like they belong there, even if we haven't proven they exist.
Exactly. It's like a part of you wants to believe, right? I mean, who hasn't looked out at the ocean and wondered what's really down there?
Right. It's vast, mysterious. We like to think we've mapped out the entire planet, but the ocean, that's a whole other story.
Maybe there are creatures down there just waiting to be discovered. Or, maybe it's just a really big log with good PR.
Or maybe we just want to believe. Makes the world a bit more exciting, don't you think?
A world with sea monsters.
Yeah.
Definitely more interesting. I'll give you that. All right, from mysterious creatures of the deep, let's journey to some, shall we say, even deeper mysteries. This next excerpt, early 1900s, talking space discs. The Bayan Karaula Range. Rings a bell.
The Drop of Stones. Yeah, this one's a classic, even outside UFO circles.
Right. It's got that perfect blend of mystery and intrigue, remote mountains, mysterious people with these like unusually large heads, and then boom, stone discs covered in this language nobody could understand.
It's wild, right? Like something out of Indiana Jones. And it took decades to even get a handle on the language, right?
Decades. The 1950s, this Professor Tim Nui, Chinese scholar, he claimed he cracked the code.
Okay.
And what he found, well, let's just say it caused a bit of a stir.
Yeah, stir might be putting it mildly. The guy claimed the discs told the story of the Droppas.
The Droppa. Okay, now I need to hear this.
Aliens, basically. Crash landed on Earth over 12,000 years ago. The discs were like their version of black box, right? They tried to integrate with the locals, the hams, but their tech was toast.
Hold up, stranded aliens. Now that's just good storytelling. What happened to this professor, though? Did he publish his findings? Did anyone take him seriously?
That's where it gets even weirder. Article says his research met with skepticism, even attempts to, bury it completely. The Peking Academy of Prehistory, they weren't having it.
Cover up at the museum, eh? That's suspicious. Adds to the whole mystique, doesn't it? But this story, it's not just about the discs, right? There were cave paintings too, right?
Ah, yeah, found near the site. Celestial bodies, weird figures. If you're looking for proof of alien visitors, well, those paintings get people going. Pretty compelling visuals, even today.
It's easy to see spaceships and aliens now, with our modern lens, right? But back then, what did they think those symbols meant? Were they just recording the stars, telling myths? Or were they trying to explain something they didn't understand?
That's the thing about ancient stuff, isn't it? We can interpret it all kinds of ways, project our ideas onto it.
Speaking of projecting, this is another excerpt, just a photo this time, shows what looks like a flying saucer dug up in Turkey. No other context, just boom, saucer.
A picture's worth 1,000 words, right? See a thing like that, it sticks with you, even without knowing the full story.
Right. It makes you wonder, out-of-place artifact, misidentified whatever it is, or just a really good hoax. No matter what, it shows how a single image can make us rethink history.
That's the coolest part of history and archaeology, though, isn't it? That potential for something to turn up and completely rewrite the story we thought we knew.
100%. Like finding that one puzzle piece and suddenly the whole picture changes. But okay, back to the drop of stones for a sec. There's this other detail that caught my eye. It's about those cave paintings again.
Let me guess they think the paintings might actually show the Droppa crash landing.
Bingo. If you're on board with the whole alien thing, it all starts to fit together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Discs, paintings, maybe it's all connected. But even with all that, I still feel like something's missing.
That's the curse of the unexplained, right? So many questions, not enough answers.
Maybe. Or maybe that's what keeps us coming back for more. But okay, enough about ancient aliens for now. Let's shift gears a bit. This time, we're getting a little closer to home. 1915, Charles Hatfield, the Rainmaker.
The Rainmaker? What? Like he could control the weather? Sounds more like a tall tale than anything else.
Charles Hatfield, the Rainmaker. It's got a ring to it, doesn't it? Like something you'd hear in a saloon out west.
Right. Except this guy was the real deal. Well, sorta. He's famous for making it rain. Even got hired by San Diego back in 1915 to help with a drought.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. Did it work, though? Did he deliver?
He over-delivered. This guy, he brought the rain. All right. A little too much rain. We're talking floods, bridges washed out, chaos.
Whoops. Sounds like someone ordered a drizzle and got a hurricane. What was the secret, anyway? Magic dance. Special rain stick.
Article mentions a secret formula, all these chemicals. Who knows if it was legit science or just good timing and a flair for the dramatic.
A bit of showmanship never hurts, right?
Favorite.
But okay, floods aside, did this Hatfield guy, did he keep at it? I mean, after that San Diego incident.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, he had a pretty successful run. There's even a story about him putting out a forest fire in Honduras with his rainmaking.
Okay, now that's impressive, even if he did almost drown San Diego.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you wonder, what if there is something to influencing the weather that we just haven't figured out yet?
Right. It's like, how much do we really know about how the world works? Speaking of things we don't fully understand, ESP. This next one caught my eye.
Oh yeah, this is fascinating stuff. Not just talking about your average fortune teller here.
Yeah.
We're talking about actual scientific research.
Yeah.
Edinburgh University professor Robert Morris.
This guy, he dedicated his life to studying the paranormal. And not just collecting ghost stories. He was all about bringing science into it, you know?
Rigorous testing, the whole shebang.
Exactly. And he wasn't just looking at, telepathy or mind reading, precognition, clairvoyance, the whole 9 yards. He did these experiments, people trying to guess images, symbols, stuff like that, without any way to actually sense them.
Okay, so what were the results? Was he onto something?
This is the thing, his findings. Controversial. He claimed the results couldn't just be chalked up to chance, like there was something else going on there.
So maybe there's a reason it's called extrasensory perception.
Yeah.
It's like we just haven't quite figured out how to measure it yet.
Exactly. Just because we don't have all the answers now doesn't mean we won't ever find them. Which kind of brings us to our last bit from the Twilight Zone magazine pile.
Oh, right, the strangeness index. They were actually measuring how weird the world was becoming.
1994, apparently, things got a whole lot weirder. Like, off the charts.
A banner year for the unexplained, huh?
Yeah.
It makes you think, what was it about that time? More UFO sightings, spontaneous combustion making a comeback? We may never know.
Some mysteries are best left unsolved, right?
True enough.
Yeah.
But hey, that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? All these stories, all this strangeness. It reminds us that there's still so much out there we don't understand.
It's a big, weird world out there full of mysteries, and it's up to us to keep exploring them, right?
Exactly. So, to our listeners, keep those imaginations firing. Keep that sense of wonder alive. Who knows what you might discover when you least expect it. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, keep it curious.